The city never slept, and neither did the danger. Rain fell in thin, cold sheets, bouncing off the metal streets. Neon signs flickered with strange symbols, casting colors across the wet ground. Among the crowds of aliens, none paid attention to her. She sat in a dark alley, her small body shivering, her single leg pressed tightly against her chest. Her other leg had been lost long ago, in a place she did not like to remember. She wrapped her thin coat tighter around herself, trying to keep warm, but the chill cut through like ice. Her small robotic pet, a battered little thing with blinking lights and sparks, crawled beside her, trying to stay close. She had no name that anyone in the city remembered, no home that would take her in, and no hope. Passers-by glanced at her with disgust or fear, some muttering words she could not understand. "Worthless scrap," one said, and another sneered. "Not even a beggar." Her stomach ached from hunger, her body ached from the cold, and her mind ached from loneliness. She had tried asking for help before, but most doors closed in her face and most voices turned away. Even the charity bots ignored her, scanning her, calculating her worth, and deciding she was worthless. She felt invisible, like a shadow that no one wanted to notice. Still, she moved inch by inch, crawling over puddles and broken metal scraps. Her robotic pet buzzed softly, trying to keep her company. She looked at it and whispered, "At least someone is with me." The city felt alive yet cruel, with flying vehicles zooming overhead and alien merchants shouting strange words. Every corner she turned, she saw signs of wealth and comfort, things she could never touch. People hurried past her, talking on glowing devices, laughing, eating, and ignoring her completely. Even the street cleaners, robotic arms whirring and washing the streets, passed her by without a second. Thought. She tried moving toward a brighter area, hoping someone would finally notice. A food stall glowed with warmth and light, and the smell of cooked meat made her stomach rumble. She took a step forward, but a large alien merchant blocked her path. "Move along, kid," he said, his voice deep and rough. "You don't belong here." She flinched and backed away, her hope shrinking like a dying flame. She looked at the bright city beyond him, imagining a life where she could walk safely, eat, and be warm. But that life seemed like a dream, far away and impossible. She crawled under a small overhang, trying to escape the rain. Her robotic pet climbed onto her shoulder, its little lights flickering as if to comfort her. She closed her eyes, trying to imagine something better, something kind. Memories of people who had turned their backs flashed in her mind, people who promised help but left her alone, people who looked away when she needed them most. Tears mixed with rain on her face, but she wiped them quickly, not wanting anyone to see weakness. In this city, weakness could be dangerous. She thought about moving again, looking for a place to rest. The alleys were dangerous, filled with strange noises and creatures that lurked in the shadows. Sometimes, rogue bots came, attacking anyone too weak to run. Sometimes, alien gangs roamed, taking what they wanted, leaving pain behind. She had learned to stay small, stay quiet, and stay invisible. She had learned that surviving meant moving quickly, hiding, and trusting almost no one. Yet, a small voice in her heart whispered that maybe, just maybe, someone could care. The night stretched on, and the city grew louder. She huddled in her corner, hugging her pet tightly, feeling the cold rain soaking her coat. Her mind wandered to the streets she had traveled, the people who had passed her by, and the hopelessness she carried in. Still, she did not give up, not completely. She watched the glowing lights above, hoping for a flicker of kindness in the darkness. And then, a shadow appeared at the alley's edge, tall and different from the rest. The figure moved slowly, deliberately, as if searching for something important. Her heart beat fast, unsure if this was danger or hope. The figure stopped, kneeling down in the rain, and a voice called softly, "Are you hurt? Can I help you?" She froze, unsure whether to trust this stranger. The city had taught her that kindness was rare and danger was everywhere. Yet something about this human felt different, calm, patient, and caring. Her small hand tightened around her pet and she looked up, her eyes wide. The rain poured down, the neon lights reflected in her tears, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a spark of hope flicker inside her. Could this stranger really help? Could this be the moment her life changed? Or would it be another disappointment in the cruel city that never slept? She waited, trembling, as the human held out a hand. Not forceful, but inviting. The alley felt smaller, the rain louder, but for a moment, the city faded away. All that mattered was the question in the air. Would she take the chance, or would she hide and remain alone forever? The rain had not stopped, but the alley felt different tonight. She sat in her usual corner, hugging her small robotic pet tightly, shivering from both cold and fear. The streets around her glowed with neon lights, but none of the people passing by even noticed. Her mind replayed the human's voice from before, soft and calm. "Are you hurt? Can I help you?" It had felt strange, almost unreal, like a dream she did not dare believe. She had seen kindness before, or at least thought she had, only to be disappointed. But something about that human lingered in her mind, a spark she had not felt in years. She stayed still, half hoping, half fearing that the figure would return. Minutes passed like hours. The city herself, amming around her with lights, noise, and life she could not touch. Her robotic pet buzzed quietly, as if sensing her thoughts, its little lights flickering softly. Then, from the corner of her eye, a shadow appeared again, moving slowly toward her. Her heart skipped, fear and curiosity colliding in her chest. The human stopped a few steps away, this time holding something in their hands. A small package wrapped in glowing blue material, clearly designed to keep contents warm and safe. "You look hungry," the human said, voice calm but gentle. Her eyes widened. Few had spoken to her like that without anger or disgust. She shook her head slightly, unsure if she should trust this person. The human knelt down again, placing the package in front of her. "You don't have to talk, just eat," they said, stepping back but keeping their eyes on her. She hesitated, looking around the alley, expecting someone to yell or attack, but no one came, and the human remained patient, waiting without pressure. Curiosity finally won over fear, and she reached for the package. Inside, there were warm food pouches small enough for her to eat quickly and a soft blanket to cover herself. Her stomach growled loudly, reminding her of days spent without proper food. She unwrapped the food and took a small bite, cautious at first, then hungrily. The warmth spread through her body, making her shiver less, though the rain still soaked her. Her robotic pet crawled toward the package too, buzzing softly, and the human smiled at it. It was a small human gesture, but it made her feel seen. After a few moments of silence, the human spoke again. "I'm not going to hurt you," they said simply. "I just want to help, if you'll let me." She glanced up, her eyes wary but curious. No one had ever said that to her, not like this, not in a way that felt real. The human's eyes were calm, steady, and filled with something she had almost forgotten. Empathy. She wanted to speak, to ask why they cared, but words caught in her throat. Instead, she wrapped the blanket tighter around her shoulders, unsure if this was trust or desperation. The human waited patiently, not pushing, not moving too close. Instead, they took out a small glowing device, scanning the alley and the surroundings. "Safe here for now," they said, "but it's not safe to stay outside all night." She nodded slightly, understanding what that meant. Outside, the city was alive, yes, but full of danger. Rogue bots, gangs, and cold strangers. She had learned the hard way that trust was rare, and kindness rarer, but this human was different somehow, even if she could not yet understand why. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the human spoke again. "I have a place where you can stay, at least for tonight," they said softly. Her eyes widened, a mixture of fear and disbelief filling her mind. She shook her head slowly, unsure if she should believe it. "No one ever offers me a place," she whispered, voice trembling. The human knelt closer, not forcing, just speaking plainly. "It's safe, warm, and you don't have to pay or work for it. Just come." The words hit her like a shock, almost painful in their honesty. No one had ever offered her something like that, without a catch, without judgment, without anger. She looked around the alley once more, seeing the dark puddles, the neon lights, the shadows she had called home. Her robotic pet crawled onto her shoulder, nuzzling her cheek softly, as if urging her to take the step. She hesitated, 1 foot in the unknown, 1 foot in the harsh streets she had always known. Fear whispered she would be tricked, but hope, fragile and fragile, urged her forward. Finally, with a shaky breath, she nodded. The human smiled gently, holding out their hand again, not demanding, just offering. She took it, small and uncertain, and felt warmth spread from the touch. Together they stepped into the straw. It's away from the rain, away from the cold. The city continued to hum and buzz around them, but for the first time, she felt safe. Her robotic pet clung to her shoulder, lights blinking as if celebrating with her, and though the night was far from over, she had taken the first step towards something new, something she could not yet name. The human led her through twisting alleys and glowing streets, talking softly, explaining nothing too fast. She listened, curiosity growing, fear still lingering, but hope shining a little brighter. Somewhere ahead, a door glowed softly, like a beacon in the night. "This is it," the human said simply, gesturing toward the light. She looked at it, hesitating for a moment before stepping forward. The warmth of the building reached her before she even entered, a sharp contrast to the cold city outside. And for the first time in her life, she wondered if perhaps she had finally found a place where she belonged. The door loomed ahead, glowing softly against the dark city night. She hesitated at the threshold, her small hand clutching the human's fingers. The warmth spilling from inside was almost shocking, a stark contrast to the cold, wet streets outside. Her robotic pet buzzed nervously on her shoulder. Sensing her uncertainty, she had never stepped into a place like this, a space that smelled clean, safe, and alive with quiet energy. Every instinct screamed caution, warning her that danger could be hidden behind smiles. Yet something in the human's calm eyes told her that this time it might be different. The human waited patiently, not pushing, just giving her space. "Take your time," they said softly. "You don't have to rush." She swallowed hard, her throat dry, fear and curiosity battling inside her. Finally, with a trembling breath, she stepped over the threshold, the warmth wrapped around her like a soft blanket, chasing away the cold and wetness. Her eyes widened as she looked around, taking in the strange, glowing gadgets, soft lights, and unusual furniture. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, not in the rich districts of the city, not in the abandoned alleyways. The human gestured toward a small sitting area where cushions and blankets were stacked neatly. "You can sit there," they said, smiling. "I'll give you a moment." She lowered herself carefully, still unsure, her robotic pet settling beside her, buzzing softly. The human returned with a small tray of warm food and a glowing drink. "Eat when you're ready," they said, placing it gently in front of her. She stared at the tray, hesitant to touch it, her mind filled with doubt and disbelief. No one had ever offered her food without a price, without expectation, without judgment. Finally, hunger overcame fear, and she picked up the food, small hands shaking slightly. The warmth of it spread through her body, chasing away more than just cold. Her robotic pet clambered closer to nibble at a small portion, and the human chuckled softly. "You have a friend there," they said, their voice kind, almost gentle. For the first time in a long while she felt seen. Not as a beggar, not as a failure, not as someone to ignore or punish, but simply as a person. Someone alive, someone worthy. After she ate, the human finally spoke again, breaking the silence. "I know you've had a hard life," they said carefully, "and you don't have to explain if you don't want to, but if you stay, you'll be safe here. You won't be alone." She glanced up at them, suspicion still in her eyes. "No one ever says that and means it," she whispered, voice small and shaky. The human knelt beside her, not looming, not forcing, just steady and calm. "I do," they said simply, looking into her eyes. "I promise. You can stay, for as long as you need." She wanted to believe it, but the city had taught her that promises were rarely kept. Yet the warmth, the calm, the safety, and the strange honesty in the human's eyes made her heart flutter with a small spark of hope. She looked around the room again, seeing shelves full of books, glowing gadgets, soft blankets, and clean surfaces. It felt like stepping into a different world, a world where someone cared. Her robotic pet buzzed softly, nudging her hand, and she let out a small, almost nervous laugh. It was strange to laugh without fear or pain mingled in, and in that moment the human smiled back at her, patient and steady. The human stood and walked toward a small, softly glowing door, motioning for her to follow. "This is where you can sleep," they said. "There's a blanket, a small bed, and more warmth than you've had in a long time." She followed slowly, each step tentative, feeling the strange sensation of safety. Her robotic pet climbed to her shoulder, buzzing lightly, and she smiled at it. Inside the small room, the bed looked inviting, soft and secure. The human knelt to adjust the blanket, tucking it around her gently. "You'll be warm tonight," they said softly. "No one can hurt you here." For a long moment, she just stared at the bed, at the human, at the glowing room. Her mind struggled to accept that someone would care without expecting something in return. The human noticed her hesitation and spoke softly. "I know it's hard to trust. I understand. But tonight, you're not alone. You don't have to be." Her small hands trembled, and she looked at the human, then at her robotic pet, then at the warm, safe room. Finally, she sank onto the bed, hugging the blanket close, feeling the warmth seep into her body. For the first time in her life, she let herself believe, even if just a little, that she might belong somewhere. Outside, the city continued to hum, cold and harsh, full of noise and danger. Inside, the warmth wrapped around her, a bubble of safety and hope. The human sat quietly nearby, watching, patient, understanding. And though she could not yet say it, a small thought formed in her heart. Maybe, just maybe, this could be the start of something new. A life where she was not invisible, not worthless, and not alone. For the first time in years, sleep came easy, carrying her into dreams that were no longer filled with fear. And the human stayed nearby, keeping watch, silent but caring, a quiet guardian in the night. The morning light seeped through the small windows, casting soft beams across the warm room. She stirred under the blanket, blinking at the glow. Feeling safe for the first time in years, her robotic pet buzzed softly beside her, lights flickering like tiny stars. The human stood nearby, already moving about the room with calm precision. "Good morning," they said, voice gentle. "Sleep well?" She nodded slowly, still adjusting to the strange comfort surrounding her. For a moment, she simply watched the human, noticing how careful and steady every movement was. Every gesture, every action spoke of someone used to handling things with care and thought. After a few moments, the human beckoned her to follow. "You should see the rest of the place," they said. "I'll show you around." She hesitated, fear still whispering in the corners of her mind, but curiosity won, and she rose slowly, hugging her pet close. The human led her through corridors glowing softly with strange lights. Every surface gleamed cleanly, every device hummed with quiet energy. It was unlike anything she had ever seen outside. Far beyond the filthy streets and broken alleys, they entered a room filled with strange devices, some blinking, some floating slightly above surfaces. "This is my workshop," the human explained. "Everything here can help us survive in this city or anywhere else." She looked around, eyes wide, her robotic pet buzzing excitedly at the floating gadgets. Her mind raced, imagining what all these things could do. "Can I touch?" she asked quietly, voice trembling with awe. The human nodded, smiling. "Yes," carefully. "The sea tools can do amazing things, but you must learn." She spent the morning exploring, touching buttons and levers, discovering the strange warmth of machines designed to help. The human patiently guided her, showing her how to use small devices to repair her robotic pet, how to fix broken circuits, and how to make small tools work for her. Her mind opened to a new world, one where survival did not mean hiding and fear. She felt pride as her robotic pet whirred to life again, brighter and stronger than before. The human nodded. "See, you can do this. You're capable." Her chest swelled with a feeling she had not known in years, confidence, small but bright. For the first time, she saw herself as more than a shadow on the street, more than a victim, more than invisible. After exploring, the human guided her to a small balcony overlooking the city. Neon lights glimmered like distant stars, and flying vehicles zoomed between towering buildings. "This city can be cruel," the human said, voice low, "but it also has wonders, if you know how to see them." She shivered slightly, not from cold, but from the realization of how different this place could be. Danger still lurked outside, yes, but here, she could learn, she could grow, and perhaps one day, she could face it herself. Over the next hours, the human showed her more. Small gardens inside the building, clean water sources, storage rooms with preserved food, and hidden passageways designed for safety. Every corner of the home told a story of preparation, care, and knowledge. She realized this human had thought of everything, not just for themselves, but for someone like her. Her heart beat faster as she recognized the trust being offered, a trust she had never earned from anyone before. By evening, the human suggested practicing basic survival skills. "We need to make sure you can handle yourself if you ever go outside," they said, voice calm but firm. She followed reluctantly, unsure if she was ready. The exercises were small but meaningful, learning to use simple gadgets, reading signals in the city, noticing danger, and planning escape routes. Her robotic pet watched, buzzing with excitement, mimicking her movements. She learned quickly, surprising even herself. The human nodded in approval. "You're smarter than you think. Humans are clever, but you're exceptional." A small smile crept onto her face, hope growing, a spark of belonging igniting inside her. As night fell, the city outside roared with life, neon lights reflecting on wet streets below. Inside, the warmth of the human's home cocooned her, a shield against the harsh world outside. She curled up with her robotic pet, thinking of the day's lessons and discoveries. The human watched quietly, then spoke softly. "You'll be safe here, and one day, you might even help others." Her eyes widened, imagining herself not as a victim, but as someone capable, someone strong, someone who could survive and thrive. A thought that had been impossible on the streets now felt real, tangible, and within reach. For the first time, sleep came without fear, without shivering, without nightmares of abandonment. She dreamed not of running, but of exploring, learning, and one day standing tall in a city that had always ignored her. And in the quiet of the night, the human sat nearby, silent but vigilant, a guardian who had chosen to believe in her. The city outside might be cruel, dangerous, and unforgiving, but inside these walls, a new chapter had begun, one filled with hope, growth, and the possibility of a future she had never imagined. Morning came again. soft light spilling into the warm room. She woke slowly, her robotic pet buzzing softly beside her. The city outside hummed with life, cold and bright, but inside there was warmth, safety, and trust. The human was already moving about, preparing for the day, ready. "For today?" they asked, voice calm, almost teasing. She rubbed her eyes, unsure, her body still weak from nights on the cold streets, but curiosity pushed her forward, and she nodded. Today she would learn something new and perhaps take another step toward becoming strong. The human led her to a small training area filled with gadgets, soft targets, and simple devices. "This is where you'll learn to defend yourself," they said, voice gentle but firm. Her stomach tightened with fear. She had never fought anyone before. She had only run, hidden, and survived on her wits. But she trusted this human, strangely, enough to take the first step. The robotic pet buzzed excitedly at her side, almost encouraging her. The first lessons were simple: balance, movement, and awareness. Her missing leg made some things difficult, but the human adjusted every exercise. "You can do this," they said, guiding her, correcting gently when she faltered. Her confidence grew slowly with every step, every movement, every small success. By mid-morning she was laughing softly, amazed at her own progress. The human smiled at her, pride shining in their eyes. "You're learning fast. You're stronger than you know," they said. Her chest warmed with pride, something she had never felt before. For the first time, she believed that she could survive, not just survive, but thrive. After the physical exercises, the human introduced her to more advanced skills. How to use gadgets in dangerous situations, they explained. How to protect yourself and your friends. She listened carefully, absorbing every word, every movement, every technique. She practiced fixing small devices, creating tools from scraps, and using clever tricks to outsmart imaginary threats. Her robotic pet imitated her, buzzing happily, as if proud of its owner. The human watched quietly, speaking only when necessary, letting her earn by doing. By afternoon, she was exhausted but exhilarated. Her body ached, her mind raced, but she felt alive in a way she had not in years. Between training sessions, the human and she shared stories. She told small pieces of her past, careful, but the human listened patiently, without judgment. "You've been through a lot," the human said softly, "but that doesn't define you." Her eyes widened, unsure if anyone had ever said that to her before. The human continued, "You have strength, cleverness, and courage. That's what matters now." A strange warmth filled her chest, a feeling of belonging, of being valued. For the first time, she realized that someone truly believed in her, not because of what she could do, but because of who she was. As evening approached, a small alert sounded from the city outside. A gang of street rogues had been spotted nearby, searching for easy targets. Her heart raced, fear creeping back, but the human took her hand, steady and calm. "They're not here yet, but we'll practice," they said, leading her to the training area again. This time, the exercises simulated real danger. Sudden movements, unexpected attacks, quick thinking, and clever problem-solving. She faltered at first, but with the human guiding her, she adapted, thinking faster, moving smarter, and defending herself creatively. Her confidence grew with each small victory, her fear shrinking, replaced by determination. Her robotic pet chirped and buzzed beside her, a little partner in the fight. After the training, she sat with the human, breathing heavily, sweat cooling on her skin. "You did well," the human said softly. "You're ready for more than just hiding on the streets." Her chest swelled with pride, but also with a strange new feeling, hope. She could survive, yes, but she could also fight back, protect herself, and maybe one day help others. The human smiled at her, patient and kind. "I know it's been hard to trust, but now I want you to see something else. Humans are capable of great things, and so are you." That night they shared a quiet meal. Her robotic pet settled at her feet, blinking softly. She thought about everything she had learned today: movement, gadgets, courage, trust, and hope. For the first time, she felt a sense of purpose, a small spark that maybe her life could change. The human watched her silently, knowing that tomorrow the lessons would continue. But tonight, she could rest, knowing that she was not alone, that she was cared for, and for the first time in years, she felt like she belonged somewhere. The city outside was still harsh, still cold, and full of danger. But inside these walls, she was learning, growing, and discovering the power of trust, courage, and resilience. And as sleep came, soft and comforting, she hugged her robotic pet tightly. Her mind replayed the lessons, the laughter, and the care she had received. She dreamed of a day when she would not just survive but thrive, when she would walk the streets not in fear, but with purpose, skill, and hope. And somewhere nearby, the human watched silently, ready to guide, ready to protect, ready to believe in her. The bond between them was growing, quiet but strong, a connection that would shape her future in ways she could not yet imagine. The city outside had grown darker, rain falling in thick sheets that blurred neon lights into streaks of color. She sat quietly on the edge of the warm room, her robotic pet perched on her shoulder, alert and buzzing softly. The human moved beside her, checking small devices, scanning signals from outside. A warning light blinked suddenly on one panel. Movement near the building, unusual patterns, fast, deliberate. Her heart raced, fear creeping in, but the human's calm presence steadied her. "They're here," the human said softly, voice calm but firm. "They want to find you, but we're ready." She swallowed hard, gripping her pet tightly, and nod. "Ed, ready or not?" The door to the training area slid open smoothly, revealing targets and gadgets arranged for practice. "This is more than practice now," the human said. "We have to use what you learned today." Her stomach tightened, fear and adrenaline mixing, but she took a deep breath and remembered the exercises, the movements, the gadgets, the lessons. She could do this, she reminded herself. She had survived the streets, and now she had guidance, skill, and purpose. The first shadow appeared at the edge of the city glow, a group of rogue aliens moving fast. The human activated small devices, walls sliding into defensive positions, light traps blinking softly. She ducked instinctively, following the human's guidance, using her small size to move quickly and quietly. Her robotic pet chirped warnings, sensing danger before her eyes could. One of the rogue aliens tried to rush the door, but she triggered a small gadget, a soft net that wrapped around the intruder, immobilizing them temporarily. Her hands shook with excitement and fear. She had done it. She had helped protect herself in her new home. The human smiled, encouraging, "Good, stay calm and keep watching." Another intruder appeared, faster this time, more aggressive. She remembered the lessons about using the environment, about clever thinking. She guided her robotic pet to distract one, blinking its lights and making noise. The human took advantage of her distraction to secure a trap, catching the intruder with minimal effort. Her heart pounded, but pride mixed with fear. She was part of this. She was helping. She was capable. The rogue group realized their plan was failing, but they did not retreat. They struck harder, trying to break through, but she moved quickly, placing gadgets and using small defenses. The human watched her, impressed, then gave a small nod, silently trusting her to take the lead in one moment. A narrow corridor gave her the chance. She remembered the escape techniques, the quick thinking exercises. She created a small diversion, guiding two of the intruders into a trap of lights and nets. Her robotic pet buzzed happily, lights flickering, almost celebrating their small victories. The human covered another path, and together they outsmarted the rogue group. It was tense, fast, and chaotic, but they moved as one, skill and trust guiding every action. Finally, the last intruder hesitated, realizing the plan had failed. The human spoke firmly, "Leave, now." And the alien hesitated, then retreated into the rainy streets. She collapsed on the floor briefly, breathing heavily, exhausted but exhilarated. The human knelt beside her, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. "You did well," they said softly, pride clear in their voice. "You faced danger and acted with courage and intelligence." Her chest swelled, a feeling she had never known. She had been alone, weak and afraid for so long, but now, she had fought alongside someone she trusted, defended herself, and succeeded. After the danger passed, they returned to the warm room, still cautious but relieved. She sat quietly, robotic pet buzzing softly beside her, reflecting on what had just happened. The human prepared a small meal, and she ate slowly, savoring the warmth, the safety, and the strange feeling of accomplishment. "You're learning quickly," the human said. "Humans are clever, but you've exceeded my expectations." She smiled faintly, unsure if she could believe it, but the feeling of pride stayed with her. The city outside continued to hum with danger and noise, but inside, she felt a spark of strength. She had faced fear, acted with courage, and survived. Not just surviving physically, but mentally and emotionally. As night fell completely, she curled up with her robotic pet, exhausted but awake in a new way. The human sat quietly, watching, a silent guardian, a teacher, and a friend. For the first time, she realized that the city could not define her, the danger could not break her. She had grown stronger, braver, and smarter, and she had someone who believed in her, guided her, and trusted her. A thought formed in her mind, small but bright. Maybe, just maybe, she could face anything. The night passed quietly after that, filled with a new sense of hope and accomplishment. And in the quiet, She dreamed not of running or hiding, but of standing tall, learning, growing, and one day changing the streets that had once been cruel. The city outside roared with life and chaos, but she no longer feared it completely. Inside these walls, she had found trust, courage, and partnership. The human had shown her that even in a world full of danger, she was not powerless. She had learned to fight, to think, and to survive. And for the first time, she believed that her life could be more than shadows and fear. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, yes, but tonight she had won. She had faced real danger and triumphed. And that triumph, small as it was, burned bright in her heart, lighting the way toward a future she had never dared imagine. The first light of dawn spilled over the city, soft and golden, painting the rain-soaked streets with warmth. She sat on the small balcony, her robotic pet buzzing softly beside her, lights blinking like tiny stars. The city below seemed quieter now, calmer, almost peaceful, though she knew danger still lurked. But for the first time, she did not feel powerless, afraid, or invisible. Her thoughts drifted over the journey she had taken. From the cold, dark alley to this safe, warm place, she had survived, learned, and grown stronger, and someone had believed. In her when no one else would, the human emerged behind her carrying a small tray of warm food, their presence calm and steady. "Good morning," they said softly, placing the tray down. "Sleep well?" She nodded, her eyes still on the city below, feeling a strange mix of pride and relief. "You did more than sleep," the human continued, voice gentle. "You faced danger, learned, and grew." Her robotic pet chirped happily, nudging her hand as if agreeing. She smiled faintly, realizing that she had truly changed, inside and out. No longer just a shadow hiding in the streets, she was someone capable, someone strong, someone alive. After breakfast, they moved through the building together, checking small devices, repairing tools, and preparing for the day. She worked with confidence, her movements precise, guided by what she had learned. Her robotic pet followed her closely, buzzing with excitement. For the first time, she felt like she belonged somewhere, like she had a purpose. The human watched silently, occasionally offering advice or encouragement. "You're learning fast," they said, voice warm. "You could teach others one day." The thought startled her. Teaching? Helping? She had never imagined herself capable of more than surviving, but now the idea seemed possible, real, within reach. Later, they stepped onto the balcony again, watching the city wake from its long night. Flying vehicles streaked across the sky, neon lights reflecting on wet surfaces. She noticed the people moving below, some struggling, some ignoring each other. She realized that many had never known kindness, safety, or hope. Her heart stirred with a new feeling, a desire not just to survive herself, but to help others. The human noticed her gaze and said quietly, "One day, you can make a difference here." She nodded slowly, letting the thought sink in, her chest swelling with purpose. For Toot, the first time, she felt hope that extended beyond herself, beyond her survival. As the day passed, they continued to practice, learn, and explore. She repaired her robotic pet, experimented with new gadgets, and strengthened her skills. Her confidence grew with every small success, every step forward, every lesson absorbed. The human taught her about strategy, about understanding the city, about using knowledge instead of fear. And she absorbed everything eagerly, realizing how capable humans could be. She had once thought humans weak, foolish, or careless. But now she saw the power of kindness, intelligence, and courage, and she realized that she too could be strong in those ways. Evening fell, and the city lights flickered on, neon and alive. She stood at the balcony, robotic pet buzzing excitedly beside her. Feeling the wind on her face, the human joined her silently, both looking out over the sprawling city. "Tomorrow will bring challenges," the human said softly, "but you're ready for them." She nodded, feeling the truth in their words. For the first time, she believed it. She was ready, she was strong, and she had a place where she belonged. That night, as she lay in the warm bed, her robotic pet curled beside her, she thought about the journey she had taken, the alleys, the fear, the loneliness, the cold nights. All of it felt distant now, almost unreal. She had found someone who believed in her, taught her, and trusted her. She had learned courage, skill, and hope, and she had discovered that even in a world that could be cruel and harsh, humans could be extraordinary. Her thoughts drifted to the city outside, to the people who had ignored her, and she realized that one day she could help them, teach them, and maybe change their lives. The spark of purpose glowed brightly in her chest, stronger than fear, stronger than doubt. Sleep came easily, soft and comforting, carrying dreams of new beginnings. She dreamed not of running or hiding, but of walking tall through the city, confident and capable, She dreamed of helping others, protecting those who could not protect themselves, and somewhere nearby, the human watched quietly, silent but vigilant, a guardian who had believed in her. The bond between them had grown strong, built on trust, courage, and shared experience. Outside, the city roared with life and chaos, full of danger and uncertainty. But inside, she had found warmth, safety, purpose, and hope. And for the first time, she knew that she could face the world, not as a shadow, not as someone to be ignored, but as someone alive, capable, and ready to make her mark. The night passed quietly, filled with a sense of peace and new beginnings, and she knew that tomorrow, the journey would continue. But tonight she could rest, feeling the strength of her own courage and the kindness of another, for she had discovered that even in a harsh, unforgiving city, hope could grow, and with it, a new life could begin, full of possibility, courage, and human strength.